It's hero time! Yeah! Hi, everybody! Creature Trucks telling you to, well, have an awesome summer. And since it's summer, I wanted to tell you about one of my very favorite superheroes that is not affiliated with Marvel or DC. Nope. This one is completely original. And his name is Ben 10. Oh, yeah. This kid, wow. I loved every single thing. Ben 10 is all about a little kid named Ben Tennyson. Yeah, kind of weird. Yeah. He's only 10 years old, and it's the start of summer vacation. And one night, on the first night of his summer vacation, where he's spending it with his grandpa Max and his cousin Gwen, he discovers a device that's an alien device called the Omnitrix. But he calls it a watch because it kind of does look like a watch. And almost like a symbiote, it clamps onto his wrist. And now it's bonded to his DNA. And with it, he's able to transform into 10 different alien species, each with their own set of superpowers. First, Heat Blast. It's his power is like pyrokinesis. Basically everything a pyrokinet can do, even absorb flames. A living fireball, you would say. Then there's Wild Mutt, a beast type alien. He can't talk through, but he can sense, like smell, like a shark. His nose is like right here, kind of like a shark's gills. He's got no eyes either, so he can only smell and hear. Then there's Diamond Head, a a crystal-like alien that makes his whole body like a living weapon. He's super strong and can manipulate the crystals on his body into a weapon, and he's even invulnerable. Cool. Then there's Accelerate. Yeah, XLR8. Accelerate. Yeah. He looks like a velociraptor, and he's got major super speed. Then there's, well, Gray Matter. He may be 6 inches, like this tall, but he's got the biggest brain you would ever think. Yeah. And then Stinkfly. Pretty much a giant dragonfly who stinks to high heaven, but he can fly fast and able to, well, not super fast, but he can still fly fast. And he's got a majorly sharp tail and has goo spews out of his mouth and 4 eyes. Ugh. But that slime is majorly useful. And the next is Upgrade. Kind of a cybernetic slime. No, more like a cybernetic symbiote. Yeah. And Upgrade can merge and take control of any kind of electronics and transform it into something different. Like turn a normal laptop into like a supercomputer. And then last is Ghost Freak. Whoo! Ghost Freak is like majorly creepy and has a little bit of with Ghost Freak you can phase in and through things and a lot of other stuff. But and Ben uses all these powers to fight not just supervillains that come from his own planet, but also aliens. Other aliens. Like, there's... his major enemy is Vilgax, who wants to use the Omnitrix for an army to create an Omnitrix-powered army. Then there's his Earth villain, Dr. Animo, who mutates animals and controls them. Then there's Zambozo the Clown. Ooh. He's not as frightening as Joker, but he's still freaky. Yep. Then there's also magical villains like Hex and his niece Charmcaster. Ooh. And then there's also the other stuff that happens, and he still learns about the Watch. And then there's Kevin, a human 11-year-old boy whose ability is to, like, absorb energy. Yeah, and when he absorbed the energy from the Omnitrix, he turned into, like, amalgamations of Ben's aliens. Yeah. And in season 2, we see Ben get more and more new aliens. Like Cannonbolt, which is like a armadillo, but he's like invulnerable. And then there's Wildvine, which is like a living plant. Yeah, with seed bombs. And he can also stretch, and thorns coming out of his whole body. And tendril legs. Yeah, it's really cool. And then there's also Ghost Freak, who goes rogue and turns into a monster. Yeah, his Ghost Freak transformation comes out of his watch and becomes a villain. And we also see Kevin return, but he becomes more monstrous looking at, because he absorbed enough of the Watch's energy to become more and more like Ben's aliens. And when he, like, got angry, he turned into an amalgamation of every single one of Ben's aliens. And he couldn't change back. But the drawback is, in that form, he may have all of Ben's powers, but they're only a tenth as powerful as Ben's. That's why he's called Kevin 11. He's got all Ben's powers plus his own. And in the season 2 finale, we see Ben unlock the Omnitrix's master control. It allows him to actually think of whichever one of his aliens he could transform in, he could turn into, and he could stay that way for, like, unlimited amounts of time. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Omnitrix's timeout function. He can only stay into a transformation for about 10 minutes. Yeah, which is a pretty nice drawback because he can't transform until it recharges. Yeah. But in the Master Control, he can transform into every single one of his alien heroes, and then, well, you know. And then in season 3, he saw his future self. 20 years in the future, where he actually, everyone on Earth knows his secret, and he has 10,000 heroes. Wow. And we also learn that Gwen learns more, like, becomes more of a magical-based superhero, along with in these adventures. And their grandpa, Max, turns out he's like a Men in Black kind of cop. The plumbers. Officially, they never exist, but they take care of all the alien kind of stuff that happens on Earth without the public knowing. Yeah. And it's a really cool thing. Yeah. Then in season 3, Ben gets a whole bunch of new aliens that are a little bit more, spooky. We learned that the Omnitrix doesn't just let him transform. He can also get new aliens too if they touch or scratch the watch. Like an alien werewolf, an alien mummy, and an alien Frankenstein. Yeah. And all those guys worked for Ghost Freak. It's really weird that they all worked for Ghost Freak. Whew. And after that whole thing, Ben got Ghost Freak back. Those new transformations were named Ben Wolf, which will later be named Blitzwolfer, Ben Mummy, Snarrow, Ben Victor, Frankenstrike. Cool aliens, if you ask me. And we also meet Ben's first love interest, Kai Green, who's kind of like a werewolf fangirl who really likes the werewolf. And then we also, in season 4, Ben also gets another new alien called Ditto, which is like a duplicator alien. He can clone himself like a million amount of times. And I also forgot about Ben's other Earth-based supervillains, the Forever Knights, a group of like a secret society that like captures aliens, steals their alien technology, and uses it for their own benefits. And they are really, really bad news. And let's not forget about whole thing with Ben also getting Upchuck at the end of season 3. He's like Kirby in a way. But he doesn't become what he eats. What he eats also turns into power blasts or exploding loogies. Yeesh. And then in the OG Ben 10, it goes into a thing called the Negative 10, and also a whole thing where Ben meets the creator of the Omnitrix, Azimuth, who turns out to be a gray matter in Ben 10, Secrets of the Omnitrix, and another 3D movie called Ben 10, Destroy All Aliens. Oh, in Secrets of the Omnitrix, he gets like a awesome giant mega kaiju alien named Way Big. Yeah. And in his future self, when he met his future self, he also saw 2 new other aliens, Spitter and an Arctic-Guana. Yeah, those are all cool. And then we go 5 years later to Ben 10 Alien Force. Yeah, this one was really cool. We see that there are a whole bunch of new stuff. Ben is 15, so is Gwen. And then, this whole thing, Ben doesn't have the Omnitrix, which is really weird at the fact. And then we also see a whole bunch of other stuff, like Kevin is back to normal, but he can also absorb any kind of matter, like metal, wood, stone. Absorbing energy is kind of like a big no-no for his kind. Yeah. Ben gets the Omnitrix back, but it transforms into like a smaller size, and then he gets a new set of 10 aliens. And they appear in holograms. First is Swamp Fire, which is like a mix, almost like a mix between Heat Blast and Wildvine, but it's a different kind of alien. He's got super strength, regenerates like a plant, control plants, uses fire blasts. Yeah. And then there's also Echo, which is like Ditto, but he can also use like a sonic scream. And then there's Humongosaur, which is like a giant dinosaur alien. A humanoid dinosaur alien. And he can also increase his size. Then there's Jetray, a super fast flyer who can also generate laser vision from his eyes, legs, and tail. And then Big Chill, which is like, he's like a ghost kind of alien almost, but he doesn't just phase, like turn intangible and stuff. He can also generate ice. Yeah, and whatever he passes through, it can be like ice. It can freeze. Then there's also Spider Monkey. Yeah, a monkey alien with spider-based properties. Then there's also Goop, which is like a slime alien, but can like make himself be like acid almost. Let's see, who else? Oh, Chroma Stone, which is like, he looks almost like Diamond Head and purpley, but he isn't. Oh man, there are a whole bunch of other aliens, and let's see. Oh yeah, Chroma Stone can also be like an energy conductor. And then there's also, well, Alien X, which is like having all the power of the Infinity Stones times 10. Yeah, he has all the power of the universe. Yeah, times 10. He can basically do anything with Alien X. They have a whole bunch of other new villains, like the alien hybrids, the DNA and their DNA aliens, a whole bunch of other kinds of villains, and new allies that are like half alien. Yeah, some of them are like Plumber's kids. And then there's Albedo, who's like a gray matter, but he got inadvertently turned into Ben, into a clone of Ben, creating his own Omnitrix, but then he became Ben's evil twin. And Vilgax even comes back. Ben gets some of his old aliens back, like Cannonbolt and Upchuck and Waybig and Diamond Head. And even two new ones. Another two new ones, like Lodestar, which is like an alien magnet, and then Wrath. He's kind of like a tiger version of like Wolverine, with a really bad attitude, always saying, "Let me tell you something." And then he's kind of got a little bit of an anger problem, but he's invulnerable and super strong and funny. Yeah. And then we also see Ultimate Alien, but before that, Albedo creates the Ultimatrix, which is kind of like the Omnitrix, but even more powerful. He created the Ultimatrix in order to destroy Ben, so he can steal the Omnitrix and get back to being a gray matter. But the Ultimatrix can also evolve like any alien Ben transforms into, like into an ultimate form, and give them new powers. And but when Ben destroyed the Omnitrix in order to stop Vilgax, he decided to take the Ultimatrix, and now it's his. And in Ultimate Alien, everyone on Earth knows his secret, and Ben has his own J. Jonah Jameson. It's stupid. Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot about Professor Paradox. He's kind of like a time walker. He can go through any timeline he wants, and his duty is not to interfere with the timeline. He knows the past, the present, the future, all that jizz. You know, all that. And among other things, there's also a whole bunch of other kind of new stuff. Ben learns more and more being a hero is not about the fame, the fortune. He only wants to help people. He's always everyone. All he ever wanted was to help people. Sure, he was acting like an immature kid most of the time, but he always fights to help people. That's his main goal. And then there's also other stuff. All the other things he can do. And then in Omniverse, he gets a completely new Omnitrix with a whole bunch of other aliens. I mean, it's incredible. He uses old and new. I mean, every single one of his aliens are so cool. He gets like any superpower known to man. And then there's the reboot series, which I didn't care for. But Ben 10, from OG to Alien Force to Ultimate Alien to Omniverse, all 10 out of 10 series. It's amazing. This whole series is amazing. It's the perfect series to watch during the summer. You can binge it all during the summer. So that's going to be it for my review, our 600 subscriber special. So thank you all, guys. So don't forget to like our videos, comment what you think, share with your friends. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe right away. Bye, everybody.